Oh. Devil's horse. I love throwing a devil's horse. I throw it a lot. I get mine custom made by a guy named Brian Heberlin.
I have to question him, man. Erik, I'll wait. Go 13. Go 13. First place, Erik, Tilson for 23. And big basket.
What's up, guys? It's Captain Erik Tilson. And today we are going to talk about swim jigs. Swim jigs in the fall, swim jigs in the winter. Swim jigs are one of my favorite things to do this time of year, especially on a day like today. It's kind of cool today. It's post-frontal, bluebird skies. It's a little bit windy. It's challenging to fish offshore and do the whole live scope deal, but we're still able to get up in the shallow stuff, get in the thick stuff and cover water, go down the bank and tear it up with a swim jig and catch fish. So you guys stay tuned. So what I want to do today is kind of talk about the swim jigs that I throw, the colors that I throw, the size that I throw, and the setups that I throw them on. So we're going to jump right into this. First thing I'm going to grab is I'm going to grab my go-to setup. Now this is a Dobbin Sierra. It's a micro series. It's a 734. Okay, 734. It's got the micro guides on it. I'm not really a micro guide kind of guy. Not a micro guide kind of guy, whatever. The swim jig that I'm throwing on this is going to be the one that I grab probably more than any swim jig that I have in my boat. And that is a Bakewell Custom Jigs 1/2 ounce swim jig in a color called Toxic. I absolutely love this color. It's a great color for multiple water clarities. You know, where I'm usually fishing at, we've got that really black tannic water. But this color works great in clear water. It works great in green water. It works great, you know, pretty much wherever you're going to throw it at. It's a great brim imitation. That is a 1/2 ounce Bakewell Custom Jigs. Now, I'll tell you, I personally always throw 1/2 ounce. You know, everybody makes some a little bit lighter, more finessier swim jigs. I don't really throw one. I've always had good luck with that 1/2 ounce head. Stays down in the water column. It comes through heavy cover just fine. I'm able to crawl it in and around some of this stuff just like a frog. And I catch a lot of fish on it. I catch a lot of big fish on it. The trailer I've got on this one is just a twin tail grub style. Yeah, it's a rage tail menace is what that is. Certain times of the year, like right now in the fall, when we get these first couple fronts coming through and things get a little bit weird, I like to downsize my trailer a little bit, go to a little bit more compact profile with a, you know, kind of a quicker little flicker on the tail end right there. That's the swim jig we've been having a lot of success on the last couple weeks. Just a 1/2 ounce Toxic Bakewell Custom Jig swim jig with a Rage Tail Menace trailer. And like everything else in heavy cover, I'm throwing that on the CPF Lures 9X braid. I use 45-pound test braid. That's all I use. I don't use 65. I don't use anything bigger. I don't have to. That 45-pound test 9X braid is strong enough to get done whatever I need to get done. And it casts like a dream. It comes through stuff quietly. It's a really great braid. The other swim jig that I'm throwing a lot, it's another Bakewell Custom Jigs. It's a 1/2 ounce, but that's going to be just a black. It's a solid black with a red glitter on it. Now that jig's not really available to everyone. He custom makes these for me. I have a lot of success on that black with red flake. You know, if you've ever fished in Central Florida, you know just how effective things with red flake can be. things like watermelon red or June bug red. And I have a lot of luck on that. Now, the last couple of days I've been experimenting with some different trailers. I've got a Missile Baits D-Bomb on there. It kind of goes into that same profile almost as the Menace, except I've got it flipped the other way around. I've not got bit on this color particularly, but over the last couple of weeks, I've been throwing some D-Bomb trailers and some other colors, and I've had some success on it. You know, we used to throw rage craws and rage lobsters on our swim jigs here quite a bit, especially into the spawn when you know that you're throwing around bigger fish. But that's going to be another 1/2 ounce swim jig right there. This rod, another great one for me. That's a Caden series. It's a 743. I've got another one that I throw swim jigs on. It's a 744. But as far as a swim jig rod goes, I like that 7'3" to 7'4" length. If I know I'm throwing at larger fish, like during the spawn, you get in some areas like this, you know that you're going to have a shot at a real giant. I'll go all the way up to a 7'6" and even sometimes throw it on a flipping stick. Again, 45-pound test, CPF Lures 9X braid. Gets the job done really well for that. And we're going to talk about the other style swim jig that I throw and a trailer that would go on it. All right, so the other swim jig style that I'm going to be throwing is going to be a 1/2 ounce Bakewell Custom Jigs. It's also that color Toxic, same color. I love that color. That color works really good in all kinds of water clarities and watercolors. But you can see I've got a swim bait on this swim jig. That swim bait trailer is going to help your swim jig stay down a little bit further in the water column and kind of almost maintain bottom contact better than if you've got a craw or beaver style trailer. See, when you apply a craw or beaver style trailer to your swim jig, and if you'll notice, both the one that has the D-Bomb on it and the one that has the Rage Menace on it, they're both on that swim jig differently. See, that swim jig has the appendages set like this. The Menace, on the other hand, I have set like that. Both of them react a little bit differently. They stay in or down in the water a little bit differently. And like I mentioned with the Menace, it's a little bit smaller, more compact, faster moving. And that's to kind of generate more of a reaction strike. But anytime you put a craw or a beaver style trailer on the back of your swim jig and you turn the appendages like this, it's actually going to provide your swim jig with more lift in the water column. And it'll help your swim jig come up, over, and crawl through and over things like pads and Kissimmee grass and reeds a little bit better. Whereas this combination right here tends to just want to stay in the water column where it's at. So anytime I'm fishing around offshore vegetation, whether it be hydrilla or eelgrass or milfoil, Illinois pondweed, whatever it may be, I'm usually going to go to that trailer right there, and that's because I want that swim jig to stay down in the water and almost have more bottom contact. Now this guy is just a CPF Lures wobbler. That's Watermelon Red Ghost. It's one of my favorite colors in that wobbler. It matches any swim jig color that you're going to be throwing. You know, it's got the white, the pearly white belly. It's got a watermelon red top on it. So it goes well with a bluegill colored swim jig. It goes well with a shad colored swim jig. It pairs really well with anything. Now this swim jig is just another 1/2 ounce Bakewell Custom Jigs Toxic swim jig. I catch a lot of fish on that swim jig, catch a lot of big fish on that swim jig. Now because I'm throwing this offshore, I've got this on a fluorocarbon. That's a 20-pound fluoro. Anytime I'm fishing through offshore stuff, I don't throw a lot of braid. And that's a Dobbins Champion Extreme. Now that's a 746. This is actually a flipping stick by nature is what it's supposed to be. It's a short flipping stick, 7'4", it's a 6-power, it's a really stout rod. But it works really well for that swim jig application for me. That stiffer power whenever I load up onto my hook set, especially on that fluoro, it takes a lot of the shock absorption out, and still wind up with great hookups with that. But that's pretty much about it, guys. Pretty much always stick to a 1/2 ounce swim jig. Bakewell Custom Jigs is all I throw in a swim jig. I don't throw anybody else. You know, Bob, he ties about the best jig I think I've ever used, and his swim jigs are probably the highest quality swim jig that I've ever used. They come with that sickle style hook in there. Let me show you guys that real quick too. That sickle hook, for me, improves my hookup ratio dramatically. It always finds its way into the roof of the mouth, but you can see it's got several different bends in it, but it's pretty much almost always got an upwards trajectory of the hook point there, instead of the conventional round bend being turned more towards the head of the bait. That sickle style hook, the hookup ratios are phenomenal. I don't miss any fish. I don't miss a lot of fish on this swim jig. You're always going to miss some fish. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys I don't miss any. That's a fantastic jig, super high quality. Bakewell Custom Jigs, 1/2 ounce. I've got a lot of different colors that I'll throw. You know, if I'm on a body of water like the Winter Haven chain or the Harris chain, he's got some fantastic whites and shad patterns. They got like some tinsel in the skirt, and they got a lot of flash to them. Check them out, Bakewell Custom Jigs. He ties a great jig. I stick with 1/2 ounce. I don't go below 1/2 ounce. And I also don't go any higher than 1/2 ounce. You know, we're in Central Florida. I'm not worried about slow rolling a 3/4 ounce or a 1 ounce swim jig up a ledge. So I don't have to worry about that. Almost exclusively braid, CPF Lures 9X 45-pound braid. That's that black braid. It's really smooth, it's really quiet. It's a 9-carrier braid. It casts a mile. The black stays on the line. It does not fade. I kid you guys not. These right here, I spooled these up, God, I don't know, probably last year at some point, and I'm still going on that black braid, and it's still black. It doesn't lose its color. 45-pound test. It's a smaller diameter braid. Casts farther, it casts easier, it comes through heavy cover better, it's quieter, it just does everything better. The days of having to use 65-pound and 80-pound braid, those days are done. We don't need that stuff anymore. Braid's come a long way. You know, the rods, I use Dobbins rods. Pretty much everything that I'm going to be using for a swim jig is going to be about 7'3" to 7'4" in length. And then depending on what I'm doing, you know, usually around a 4 power, like I showed you guys, that one on the fluorocarbon for that offshore hydrola swim jig. That's a 6 power rod, but that's 20-pound fluoro. Might actually be 25-pound, but I think it's 20-pound fluoro. It's pretty stout stuff. And I just wanted that stiffer action so that I can, you know, because fluorocarbon and monofilament lines both have some stretch to them. Fluorocarbon doesn't stretch as much as mono. Mono stretches a lot. Either way, I just wanted a rod to take that that stretch out of it, so I didn't want a whole lot of give. But that's like the perfect rod for that application. And guys, that's really about it. That swim jig application is great this time of year. We're in the month of November. We're starting to get these cold fronts coming down. You know, you get one of these really windy days, it's kind of a pain in the butt to go sit offshore on Toho and fish offshore hydrola, or it's, you know, it can be a pain to sit offshore on Cypress and fish the offshore hydrola out there. You get on a lake like Lake Kissimmee, you get up in the pads, you get in the grass. You know, it's almost becoming a forgotten technique. Live scope is starting to take over things, and, you know, anglers are getting to where they don't want to have to go work for anything anymore. And don't get me wrong, catching a winning bag of fish on live scope is a lot of work. It's not the easiest thing to do. I use live scope quite a bit, but there's days where, whether it be wind, whatever the case may be, it just isn't working out there, and it's tough. You know, like right now, it's just tough on the Kissimmee chain. Tournament weights are way down. People aren't catching a lot of big fish. Hurricane Milton kind of messed things up a little bit. Water levels are crazy high. That thins the fish out. We're post frontal most days. The water temp's dropping. It's like we kind of got all the things working against us. One of the best things you can do on one of those kind of days is get in the stuff and cover water. Get in the pads, get in the reeds, get in the Kissimmee grass, and cover water with something like a heavy cover swim jig. You're gonna get bit, you're gonna catch fish, you're gonna put fish in the boat, and you're gonna discover that fishing shallow heavy cover is a lot of fun, especially if you're not doing it a whole lot. But guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. Just wanted to take a few moments to get on here and tell you guys about the success that we're having the last couple of weeks throwing swim jigs out here. We're catching a lot of fish doing it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to put fish in the boat when, especially when it's too windy to fish offshore and other things aren't working real well. Pick you up some 1/2 ounce Bakewell Custom Jigs swim jigs. Go put your boat in the stuff. Go catch some fish out of heavy cover. Until the next time, guys, I will see you later. Lake Toho fishing reports are coming. I've been staying off of Lake Toho for the last few weeks. It got really tough up there. The water got really high. Hurricane Milton churned up a lot of grass everywhere. It just made things really weird out there. I've been fishing further south on the chain, but the last couple days I've been up there, the fishing is stabilizing on Toho. Things are getting good. I've got your Lake Toho fishing reports coming in the next few days, so y'all stay tuned for that. And in the meanwhile, you guys go get some swim jigs, get out there in the shallow stuff, go get in the heavy cover, and go catch a hog out of the heavy stuff. We'll see you guys later. One more thing, guys. If you guys haven't checked out the new hats from CPF Lures yet, you guys need to hop on cpflures.com, check them out. They got all sorts of different colors. Guys, not joking when I say this is the most comfortable hat that I have ever worn. Chuck and Jason, they did a great job finding these. They're waterproof, they fit really well. So far, I've been wearing this one every day for a while now. It doesn't stink. It's not stinking up my truck. It's waterproof. They look good. The duck camo, that like wetlands camo pattern, that's my favorite. They got a bunch of different great looking ones on there, guys. Check them out. Use Tilson 15 at checkout. It's gonna save you a little bit of money. See you guys.